When did you realize that travel is your goal in life?
From my childhood itself, I was inclined towards travel. A big credit to this goes to my dad. Every weekend, he used to take me out for all these waterfall hikes or, to jungles and all. That was his way of spending quality time with me. And he'd spend the whole Saturday or the whole Sunday playing with me in the water. But what surprised me was, on that hike, I was with my guide, I saw a Khasi father. Khasi is the tribe there. A Khasi father was carrying his 1-year-old daughter, is piggybacking him, and he completed the whole hike on a Saturday just so his 1-year-old daughter can play in the water.
The flexibility that you have with your work right now is helping you to travel. So tell me about your work.
Businesses. So my work model is a hybrid work model. So it's not necessary for me to be on site all the time. So while I work in Bombay, my office is here in Bombay. I come here for a month or two. I work on site, and then I have the flexibility to work remotely.
Okay, so because you've got 50K above followers, so is that just recently?
Yeah, it's been a year.
That's amazing. Tell me about racism. Have you ever faced it?
Big time. When we talk about Northeast in general, people think that we live in the jungles. हम से पत्तों के कपड़े पहनते हैं. We eat anything and everything.
Really? Hi everyone, I'm Reena Augustine from Community Impact. Welcome to INDOZ Television. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing an amazing travel influencer. Traveling has always been one of the sources that connect people from different parts of the world. And I have the pleasure to have Reet here. Hi Reet.
Hi Reena, thank you so much for inviting me.
Reet, I've got a question for you. Now, being a travel influencer, being a corporate person, which one would you choose more? I know the answer for myself. Which one would you rather choose?
I'd want to be I'd want to be a traveler, a travel educator is what I want to be. So when you say influencer, what happens? This is an issue that a lot of travel creators face. What happens is when travel becomes your primary job, you're at a place, you're so worried about getting content that you forget to enjoy the real essence of the place. So for a person like me who loves travel, who loves to travel, I need to travel to, connect with myself again, to recharge and just to, walk in again as a new person. So I think as I wouldn't want to be a complete travel influencer, but a travel creator who shows that yes, you can have travel as your job as well, but at the same time you don't treat it in a way ki अरे ये तो मतलब करना ही करना है, like my whole life is depending on it. You enjoy it as well.
Now, let's start with your tattoo.
All right. This one here?
Yes.
All right. So this is a tattoo of Icarus. It comes from a Greek legend.
Okay.
So I think many people here are aware of the story of Icarus and his brother. So what happened was Icarus's father was a master craftsman, right? So he could build almost anything and everything, and he was so skilled that his creations alone had the power to make people win wars. So the king wanted to keep his master craftsman all to himself. So what he did was it's very Tony Stark kind of story where him and Yinsen build a thing in the prison. So his father was also kept in the prison, and I think that's where, if I'm not wrong, that's where he fell in love. He had 2 sons, Icarus and Daedalus, if I'm not wrong, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. And he wanted them to be free. He didn't want them to live a life in a prison. So what he did, he built them pairs of wax wings.
Wow.
Okay, so they can wear them and they can fly their way out of the prison. But he reminded them that, remember, although these are wings, these will make you fly, but again, at the end of the day, you have to remember that you're human, and these things have their limitations. So they flew out, they lived their lives, and Icarus was a person who liked to do a lot for the people. Okay, and also once you start living your life like an immortal, like a hero among men, there is this thing that comes in. There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of ego that comes into it, that, oh, I can do anything. So once he decided that maybe I can fly too close to the sun and I can get the sun for the people.
Mhm.
So what happened? Icarus flew too close to the sun. His wings melt off them because they were made out of wax. He fell and he died. So the moral of the story is that too much ambition and ego will lead to your downfall. Me as a person, as a kid, I used to have massive ego issues.
Okay.
So this tattoo is always a reminder that, Reet, no matter where you are, just stay grounded.
I love your name, Reet.
Thank you so much.
What a nice name.
Thank you so much.
Love it. Meaningful tattoos. Definitely a fan of that. When did you realize that travel is your goal in life?
Actually, I, from the very beginning, I think from my childhood itself, I was inclined towards travel. A big credit to this goes to my dad, because I remember back when I was a kid, every weekend he used to take me out for all these waterfall hikes, or to jungles and all. That was his way of spending quality time with me, and he'd spend the whole Saturday or the whole Sunday playing with me in the waterfall. He allowed me to be out there in the nature. So I think from that very point only, I realized that when I'm around nature, that is when my most authentic self comes out. And honestly, I think a lot of people from Northeast can relate to it, because kids in Northeast are raised very close to nature. I'll share a very recent example. This March, I went to Meghalaya for a waterfall hike called Vekilang. Very beautiful place, but the hike is very tough. Okay, very tough hike. Even for a person like me who hikes regularly, it was very hard. But what surprised me was, on that hike, I was with my guide, I saw a Khasi father. Khasi is the tribe there. A Khasi father was carrying his 1-year-old daughter, is piggybacking him, and he completed the whole hike on a Saturday just so his 1-year-old daughter can play in the water. And you should have seen that little 1-year-old girl. She enjoyed herself in the water. And I think this is same for almost every kid in Meghalaya. There are kids who are, I think, 9 or 10. And what they do is Monday to Friday, they go to school. Saturday, Sunday, they accompany their dad, their uncle to all these waterfall hikes as guides. And you should see the places where I struggle, where people like us, even when we hike, we walk out, we struggle. They walk effortlessly there. And they're so in tune with nature. One thing that particularly blew my mind, I was not able to believe my eyes. It was back in November. There's this place called Wamyor in Meghalaya. So it's the highest living root bridge in the world.
Highest living?
Root bridge.
Root bridge.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it as well. That's also very interesting. But yeah, we went there. Hike was, I think, around 3 to 4 hours long hike. So our guide was a 9-year-old kid. So while we were coming back, I was surprised to see that the kid was making bird calls, and he was actually communicating with birds. Birds were responding, birds were coming near to him. And this same kid, he can speak great Hindi, he can speak great English, he knows how to guide people, knows anything and everything about Instagram, and still he's so in tune with nature.
Wow.
So what I feel is, this whole travel element where, people learn to appreciate nature, it starts pretty much from the childhood. In today's age where Kids are so exposed to screen time. I think even if you take out a weekend and you just let them be out there in the nature, I think it'll build a lot of character and bring out the best in them.
Uh, that's a very good advice that you're giving. But don't you think right now, as we see that the world is now moving in a very fast pace, right?
Yeah.
Mom, dad both have to work.
Yeah.
The opportunity that you got, your parents took you out in the nature, is not a blessing for everyone, right? But saying that, I have seen parents giving the tablet to the child
Exactly.
and enjoying their own time. So I do understand that there should be a balance.
Yes.
Reet, let's go back to, you mentioned that your parents are the ones who actually made you travel from the childhood and you learn so many things, right? The flexibility that you have with your work right now is helping you to travel.
Big.
So tell me about your work.
So I handle PR and ASO for a marketing agency. I handle those aspects for multiple businesses. So my work model is a hybrid work model. So it's not necessary for me to be on site all the time. So while I work in Bombay, my office is here in Bombay. I come here for a month or two. I work on site and then I have the flexibility to work remotely. So that is the time I utilize to go and travel and to make content around it.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that for now?
It's been almost a year, I think. A year. That's precisely when I started roaming Trexact from scratch.
Okay, so because you've got 50K above followers, so is that just recently?
Yeah, it's been a year.
What? That's amazing. Wow. Travel influencer. Now, when I think of traveling, I think of culture,
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when I think of, you just said to me that you went to Meghalaya recently.
Yeah.
What is the staple food there?
So there is actually a lot of things in Meghalaya. You can't, particularly point at something and say that, okay, this is the staple food. But yes, in Northeast, rice, we need to have rice. We love our rice.
Okay.
Give it to us with pork, give it to us with chicken, different types of meat. We love our rice.
Okay.
And it's not only about the meat there. A lot of people think that Northeast is all about non-vegetarian food, but in terms of veggies as well, some of the most exotic veggies and fruits are grown there in Northeast. For example, if you come to let's say Meghalaya only. Meghalaya, there are these berries called sophies,
Okay.
which are very I'd say kind of exotic. You know rambutans as well, right?
Rabitans, yeah.
Yes. So I think if you go to places like Arunachal or the jungles of Meghalaya, they're just lying there and the tribes just eat it. So in terms of food as well, it's very diverse because we are, again, Northeast is Seven Sisters plus Sikkim, right? So the amount of when we say that we represent a global palette, it actually is that way because there are so many cuisines. There are so many tribes there. Each tribe has their own speciality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean...
You just mentioned Seven Sisters. I remember studying in school. I completely forgot. If you can explain to our viewers what is Seven Sisters.
All right. So the Seven Sisters are... So actually a lot of people think this is a big misconception that a lot of people have. That there are 8 states in the Northeast. But a lot of people say that Sikkim is not a part of the Seven Sisters. Yes, Sikkim is not a part of the Seven Sisters, but it is a part of Northeast. So there's Assam, Meghalaya, Arunachal, Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura.
Okay, so
these 7 are the Seven Sisters. Then there is Sikkim on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about racism. Have you ever faced it?
Big time.
Okay,
Big time.
let's talk about it.
So I think when we talk about Northeast in general, people have this opinion that we live just because there are a lot of tribes in Northeast, right? People think that we live in the jungles. हम से पत्तों के कपड़े पहनते हैं. We eat anything and everything.
Really?
Yeah, I'll share an incident. I think my postgrad, Okay, I in Bombay itself. Okay, when my friends got to know that I'm from Assam, they started calling me Mowgli
Oh, okay.
because
Wow.
according to them, Assam is again
Jungle.
jungle, all jungle, and who lives in jungle? Mowgli. So yeah, so again,
They're not your friends, darling.
I rate it. So what happens is what I've understood is that a lot of these people, it's just that the whole education part, they've ever since they grew up, no one properly educated them about Northeast. They don't know about it. So the only thing that is drilled into their mentality is Northeast mein to jungli rehte hain. Right? They eat anything, they wear anything, keede khate hain, kuch khate hain and all. They're conditioned to think in that way. So it's not their fault as well. It's just that in terms of education, in terms of educating the crowd, that is where we are missing out, and that is also a major aspect of my page why I keep posting Northeast a lot, because yes, it is very beautiful. Northeast is very beautiful, but apart from the place, there is also a lot about the people and the culture that the rest of the India and the world is not aware of. So that education part has to start from somewhere. I encourage everyone that, and that's why you just come and you spend a few days here. You learn a lot about us, because at the end of the day, it's easy to make an assumption based on the limited knowledge that you have, right? But the people who are actually willing to take that effort to come to a place and understand what it is.
And you actually promoting it is another big thing. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Because when I asked you about that, because I remember there was an incident, I don't know whether it was Delhi or Mumbai, where, the Northeast person was killed.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? In your own country, you can't be a racist. I did have a question about the color issue in your, did you ever experience the color issue in the country?
Personally, for me, I didn't.
Yeah.
But I have seen a lot of my friends being subjected to that. And again, like I said,
Why do you think that is, Reet?
it's again, like I said, education is a big factor. Imagine ever since you're जब से आप बच्चे हो, you're a small kid, and the same thing has been drilled into your head, right? And you have no other external source to, confirm that. Even if you have, you don't have the curiosity anymore. So I think it's very important to educate people. And I think this is where travel also plays a big role, right? When you actually go to a place, you see the people, you learn about them, and you're like, oh, they're not that different. They're not like what we thought at all. They have so much to offer. This is what I learned when I travel as well.
Oh my God, so true, so true. I realized when I started traveling, growing up over here, color was a big issue for me. And outside the world, people outside the country, people around the world, they're like, wow, they're going for tanning. I'm like, what? I wanted to be white all my life, darling. And they are tanning. I'm like, okay, this is my place. So, I moved. Imagine. And your life changes. People actually appreciate the way you are, what you do, instead of the color, race. You go beyond that, That's not life. Reet Jakharia is your page name?
Yes. Roaming Treksak is my page's name.
Roaming?
Treksak.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your next plan? Where are you traveling next?
So next, in Northeast, particularly in Assam, there is a place called we pronounce it in native Assamese, we call it Kalamati it is. So it is situated in the Assam-Bhutan border, India-Bhutan border. And it's I haven't been there, but when I saw the pictures, I was blown away. I had no idea that such a beautiful place exists. So you know about the Dolomites, right?
Yes.
Yes. So you'll find a miniature version of Dolomites there. Not those very tall mountains, but there are actually hills which have a very distinct color.
Okay.
Okay, there's gray, there's a shade of red, there's a shade of brown, and
Oh.
all together it's coming, and there's a river which is flowing from the middle, and it's very
I
beautiful.
can imagine now. Like I'm imagining, wow. You know, there are so many beautiful things in India itself to go and travel. My recent travel was South India. I went to Kanyakumari, Rameshwaram, and all that. And I am from South. I've never been those places, you know. And I realized, Are Bapre, you know, the India is so beautiful.
Big time.
And you don't need much money to travel.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best part.
Is that right?
That's the best part. That's the best part.
Oh my God. So tell me, you work full time for you to fuel your travel, or how does it work? Are you
Yeah.
getting paid for your travel? I want to know.
So yeah, I mean, there are the paid component started recently.
Yes.
Yes, when you reach a certain audience, yes, there are perks. Brands reach out to you, right? So yes, there is a passive income that is coming from there, but at the end of the day, you have to rely on a steady source of income. So I've seen a lot of people do this, that without having a proper plan, without having savings, they directly jump full time into content. Yes, it's great. You're pursuing your passion. Yes, it's great. But especially for a niche like travel is not a zero investment niche, right? You will need money to fuel that. So until and unless you're at a point where you feel like, okay, I have enough in store, I have enough coming from this source, I can, now let go of my full-time job. I think that safety net is important. Sometimes you have to think practically as well, because yes, it sounds great that you travel full time, you don't have a job, you don't have to report to anyone. It sounds great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this I've seen with a few of my friends as well. They tried travel content, they had a little bit of savings were with them. They traveled for a month or two non-stop, and they exhausted their savings. They tried putting content didn't work out for them, because content is not a one day thing.
No.
Content, you have to show up every day,
Every single day. Yeah.
exactly. So it takes a lot of patience, and while you're doing it, you need that monetary backbone to be there, that okay, yes, just stay at it.
Yeah.
It's gonna work out, it's gonna work out, it's
Yeah.
gonna work out.
The reason I asked you is, Reet, because if somebody now wants to be an influencer, they need to hear this, and learning that, okay, in future, slow by slow, you will be getting something, but you need to have another basis, because I have some people I know who actually have jumped into it exhausted. But the thing is, because they've exhausted their money, their dreams are shattered, right? They think it cannot be like driven again. So that has to be a balance. So I'm glad you actually balanced it already. Hey, so is it easy to travel with a partner or solo?
It actually depends. Okay, it actually depends on, see, when me and my partner, we took our first travel, we made sure that we are ready to make accommodations for each other's needs and what we seek in a travel. My partner, she loves to be in cities. I love to be in secluded places. So that's the reason why we chose Bali. Bali is a good balance between the two. And then also we tried, we both communicated well, that okay, these are the things that you love, these are the things that I love. So let's figure something out where we both get something out of it. Right. So I think communication, a lot of people say that, okay, partner ke saath travel karoge to it's not this, it's not that great and that. Yes, it can be challenging, but I think communication is the key.
I love that. Learning something about relationship now. Communication is the key. And the advice that you gave me right now is so important. दोनों से learn करो. आप communicate करो. इनको क्या पसंद है वो करो. आपको क्या पसंद है वो करो. और merge it.
Exactly.
So to end, can you tell us 3 things you would advise the new influencers? What advice should they take? If there's three things you would like to advise the travel influencers that are actually trying to be a travel influencer, what would that be?
The first thing is that do not jump into travel content without having civics. It's very important, or it's very important for you to have a job. I understand that in today's world, it's very hard to find a remote job or a hybrid job. I'm very lucky that I found one. But there are jobs. There are people who are willing to let you work in such a setting. You just have to find it, right? Secondly, whenever you travel to a place, it's very important that you promote the locals there. So in Meghalaya, I've seen a lot of my fellow influencers. What they do is whenever, so Meghalaya, you will always need a local guide, okay, to take you to all these places, because there's so much in the wild that there is absolutely no way you can figure it out on your own. So these local guides are the one who find these places, who keep it clean, who maintain it. So whenever you're uploading a reel, just mention that local guide, mention those locals. A lot of people do this, they'll just upload the reel and they won't do anything about it. Please mention the locals who took you there. Okay, it will bring a lot of business to them as well, and it in a way promotes sustainable tourism as well. And I think it's our responsibility to if I was able to see a place where because of a person, that person
Very important.
should get the whole credit.
Yeah.
Lastly, I think enjoy it. Enjoy it. Do not let it go to a point where it has become a part of your job and you're no longer enjoying traveling.
True.
That beats the whole purpose of travel content creation.
Oh my God. So, three most important things that we have to keep in mind is to have a backup plan for sure financially, support the locals, and of course, enjoy. Pleasure having you with us, Reet. Thank you so much for your time.
Same here, Rita. Lovely
Okay.
talking to you.